So the topic of alignment has been heavy on my heart, heavy in my life for the last couple of years. And I've been thinking about all of these examples of how things have either been in alignment and worked out really smoothly or worked out better than I could have imagined, and examples of where things were just completely misaligned and went awry and either completely fell apart or completely disappeared, and it's actually for the best because it wasn't aligned. It wasn't for my greatest and highest good. So I love sharing examples of this. I like storytelling, in a sense, of these examples of how these things kind of show up in my life, because I know when I hear people say, oh, well, just, get in alignment and trust and accept and, everything's working out. Like, yeah, those words are great, but how does that actually look? Like, if I were to sit in my day-to-day, how do I actually know something is working or something is not working? So I wanted to share this example of, so this happened a couple of weeks ago where I do markets and festivals and expos and things. And I do outdoor markets for my product line. So my natural premium product line, Your Wellness Sanctuary. And I've been doing events for 2 years, and they've been very interesting, very eye-opening. But for these events, obviously they're outside. So you need to have a tent to not get burned to death from the sun. And, just to kind of mark your space, because when you do these events, you get a 10 by 10 space. So everyone has a tent. And when I was first getting my tent, I said, I'm going to get something that kind of aligns with my brand colors. I decided that I was going to get a gray tent. I didn't want something that was with the crowd. I did not want a white tent. So I got a gray tent, and I loved my gray tent. But I didn't realize that some events have specific vendor requirements related to their tents, specifically requiring a white tent to participate in these events. So my first holiday market last year, I didn't realize there was going to be a requirement for a white tent, but I knew I wanted to participate in this event. I had done it the year prior. There was no white tent requirement. But last year, there was a white tent requirement. And I said, okay, I'm just going to say yes. I've got a white tent, even though I don't, and we're going to figure something out. So a week prior to this holiday event, I ordered just a tent top. So just like the covering of the tent. I order a white one. I use it. It almost broke my frame, which I was really, really upset about. But it didn't. Almost did, though. I use it the one event. I wipe it down. I package it up and I return it. Probably, maybe I shouldn't have done that, but that's what I did. And I said, whew, I'm good till next Christmas season, next holiday season. So, doing a couple events in the spring, did an event at the beginning of August, kind of, fall time. And prior to the event in August, the beginning of August, I got on and, started looking for some holiday events. And I signed up for 6 more holiday events, more than what I had already had signed up for on the calendar. All of them required a white tent. And I was like, I'll figure it out. I got this. So going about my business, like I said, beginning of August, I'm setting up at this market, and the whole time I'm thinking, I need a white tent, because I'm looking at my gray tent while I'm sitting under it. I really should get a white tent. I need a white tent. I'll figure it out. I got some time, because it's August, but we don't have holiday time until December. So minding my business, and then there's a sign of rain. And I thought, it wasn't supposed to rain. Let me check the weather. Sure enough, there was a storm about to come through. So I said, all right, we're fine. But in the back of my head, I thought, there are two little holes in the top of my gray tent that if it rained hard enough and if I got a good enough breeze, my journals would not be protected. I need to think about this. So I looked up at the sky, I looked at my tent, trying to figure out where those two little holes were. And I said, you know what? Let me start like putting a couple things in the car, because the car was like right there. Let me start putting a couple things in the car just in case I need to pack up really quickly. So I grab a couple bags, go to the car, maybe 50, 75 feet away. I go put these two bags in the car. I turn around to walk back to my tent. There are 3 people at my tent. And I was like, oh, that's odd. Why are they at my tent? I walk maybe 2 or 3 more steps and I realize they're holding the poles on my tent. So I walked a little closer and I said, why are these people at my tent? So not only were they holding the poles on the tent, my entire table display had completely blown forward. Everything was sprayed out in the grass, the wet grass. And I'm still trying to figure out, why are these people at my tent? Turns out my tent had snapped. The top part had snapped. And if they didn't hold it up, everything would have completely collapsed. So I thought, how in the world did this happen? Because I literally walked maybe 50 to 75 feet, turned around, and in the split second, a gust of wind came and snapped my tent. So I thought, okay, this is really annoying because there were like 2 more hours in the event. It was hot, so I was kind of glad that I didn't need to be out there for the entire time, but I was annoyed because my products were sprayed out everywhere, the grass was wet, and my tent was broken. But then I thought, I did need a white tent. So maybe this is just the universe saying I need a white tent. So these lovely people helped me pack up. They even helped me bring some things to the car, and I got out of the event early. So I get online and I look for a white tent reluctantly because I just didn't want to spend the money for it. And I had an all-day event this past weekend. And I have to say, I really do like having a white tent. I ordered the white tent and it's kind of nice. It's very pretty. It's very pretty. And I get why they require a white tent because it's a good look. But I didn't really appreciate the dramatic snapping of the gray tent that required the purchase of the white tent. But it showed that the gray tent was not in alignment with what my business needed. It was not in alignment with the requirements of any of the markets that I had signed up for. So that is an example of alignment. And I've got countless more examples.